I'm Olga Fragis, and I'm the founder of Live Assets. Live Assets is all about people. We're a tech staffing company. We've been around for, oh my God, over 20 years. Now I'm dating myself, but it's over 20 years that we've been in the industry. We work in tech space. We don't have specific industries. We've recently just launched two divisions. We've launched an outsourcing hub, and that was through the pandemic and the needs of our clients. And we got into rail and transit, a very, very niche industry, but one very up and coming. For the next, I think, 35 years, Canada's going to be having a lot of work in that area. You know, it's really interesting because for many, many years, I wanted to keep all the work in Canada. I was very, very Canada pro. I didn't really think I'd ever outsource. Through the pandemic, though, the need for my clients to get the quality of work that they required was impossible with the rates. The rates in IT went up dramatically. I would say maybe even 50%. So the only solution that I could find was to look at outsourcing models that could work. And what we did was we decided to open up an office in Jordan, in Amman, where we would have talent that would work in our office, and they would be dedicated to our clients. So they wouldn't be working they wouldn't be working on various projects. They would be dedicated resources. They would just be living or working in our office space in Jordan. And it's worked out really, really well. We've been very successful in saving a lot of our clients, I would say probably about 70%, and still get the quality that we needed, because that's what's really, really important here. Sometimes people think, offshoring is, let's just go and save money and whatnot, and they find themselves having to duplicate the work. So it's important when you're offshoring to ensure that the quality of work is the work that you need. You know what I mean? You don't want to redo the work and then pay double the price. You think you're getting, great rates, and at the end, if you duplicate the work, you're not. I think one of the things that I was always worried about, I'm a bit of a control freak, and my word is better than my signature. So if I promise something to a client, I want to make sure it's done right. So when I used to think of offshoring, I had seen a lot of the models that they would take a project, they would ship it off, they'd farm it off, and then they never really knew who was working on it, right? They were just waiting for the end result. The end result would come back. I would see it in banking, I would see it in insurance, where they would be back to square one, because things were not done the way they should be. And if anybody knows how to read code, if the same person is working on a specific project or not, because code is written, it's almost like penmanship. It's very, very interesting. So this was my fear, that, okay, we offshore, but do we know who is working on it? Are they dedicated to the project? These were my issues. So the way we solved this issue was by, like I said, opening up an office, having it managed in Jordan. And actually the partner that I have in Jordan, he is a professor in information technology. And he just got actually his PhD in AI. So the people that we have there are managed well. And we know that, as I said, they're dedicated and they report into our clients here. And I think that is how we've solved the problem. And so far, like I said, we're doing really, really well with the productivity and the outcome. So I come from sociology. I don't come from technology. I got into staffing totally by fluke, and I fell in love with the industry. I'm all about people. So just when I understood the dynamics, people think, staffing, you just, make a quick buck here and there and whatever. And it's not what we do. It's not the way I feel about it anyway. We're building teams and companies. We are growing people's careers, career paths. And it's really intriguing to me. I think it's a very, very important job. And as I said, it's dear to my heart. So I worked for a few companies prior to Live Assets. But I wanted to do things differently. I wanted to build a culture where people really cared, where people valued people, where they didn't see them as numbers, where the team had harmony amongst themselves, where it was more of a collaborative place. It was a place where you'd come in the morning and you'd work together and make things happen, and that's what I've been successful in doing, to be honest. I've got an amazing team where we live by our values. We really, really do. There's always talk about, well, AI and what are we going to do? And they're going to take over and so on and so forth. And our philosophy is we do old-fashioned headhunting with new technology. So we welcome AI and any technology that comes. The bottom line is, though, the people element, you can't take it out of this equation. It will not work. You always we build cultures. We don't just place people, right? We build cultures in our whole interview process. Other than our technical interviewing, there's a big component in behavioral interviewing. And this to us is key. And I think that is our biggest differentiator when you think about it, is that we can build cultures. We understand. We partner with our clients. We get to know the type of people the organization has internally, what their values are. And are these people going to fit into that? Because if you don't have a win-win situation, it's not going to last. We rarely, honestly have turnover. And that, to me, is our greatest success. Employees that are successful in finding that next home are employees that really know what it is that they're looking for. And it's got a lot to do with the stage of life they're in. That is really, really important. And they have to be prepared to roll up their sleeves, jump in, and give it their best shot. If they don't understand what it is that they really want, and if they're just looking for money, it's usually the wrong avenue. I find the most successful candidates are the ones who are building a career path. Sometimes we consult with candidates, and my first question is, what is the road you want to take? So someone who's just starting out, let's say someone's a developer, and they've started out, and sometimes developers can go into management. They can go into more of a business analyst role. They can go more into architecture. So it really depends on what is the path. So it's more about following a career path and taking the steps to get there, as to just following whether it's money or whether sometimes it's location. So these are things that you have to really, really be clear with yourself before making that move. Here's a story for you. So we had a candidate that I had placed. He had just finished his schooling, and I placed him maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I don't know. Placed him a couple of times, worked with him. Then we lost touch. And then I get a call one day, and he says, hey, I need some people, and I don't know if you can help. And I said, I don't know, tell me about what you're doing. So he was working on the Crosslinks project. I don't know if you know the Eglinton LRT. So they had a huge mandate. They had a mandate probably to bring on board about 70 people in a very short period of time. And I said, well, I don't know. We haven't done rail and transit, but if there's systems and there's a technology component, let me take a look and see. So we started, and we were really, really successful. We nailed it. Like it was unreal. And so we actually built out a team of engineers to recruit for these roles. And it's been 3 years now that we've been working on this project. We were successful. I think we've placed over 100 people, which I think is phenomenal. With very little. Imagine that, we would send maybe one or two and they would be placed. So we realized that there is a huge need. There's a demand that we don't really see. There's a whole bunch of new transit lines now that are starting, and across Canada, we're working on a line in Vancouver, and we're working on a few lines here. Like there's an extension, Finch West. There's the Scarborough extension. There's a whole bunch of different projects that are happening, and there's not enough people. So we are doing two things. We are not only recruiting existing people that have that skill, but I think this is where our sweet spot really is. We understand the transferable skills that are needed. This is where the magic happens, if you ask me. Because if you understand transferable skills, then although the people have not worked in rail and transit, they have the skills to be able to make that transfer and make it easy. So we've been able to bring in probably half of those people were transferred into a new industry. And it's an easy, I don't like to use the word sell, but it's easy to get people to understand that, you know what, for the next 30 years, Canada is going through a huge transformation in rail and transit. And if you get into the industry now, you've got it set. So we've had a lot of success. I'm excited about it. We've launched, as I said, a new division, totally organic. And we're going to be at the Trax trade show that they have in June. So we're excited. I don't know, you got to have a stomach for it, I'm telling you. You have to be prepared to risk everything. You have to be resilient. That's for sure. That's a given. But it's fun. You know, you have to have passion. You have to have a vision. If you don't love what you do, you're never going to be good at it. I think that's where everything begins. And yet you have to believe in yourself. You have to have it in you. You know, there's many, many times, trust me, that I've woken up in the morning and I thought, oh, can I do this? Is it going to work? Is it going to, and you just push through it. I remember when I think about the pandemic, everyone was kind of like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And, the next day, I remember it was March 16th. We were working all from home and I got my team on a Zoom call and I said, okay, are you guys in or are you out? Because we're gonna pull through this. We're not selling. All I want us to do is care about the people in the industry, the people that have allowed us to be where we are today. And, we gave back. We worked with about, 7 or 8 companies where we worked for free. They really needed people. They didn't have the resources at the time. And I just wanted to give back to an industry that gave me so much. So that's what an entrepreneur is. You push through things, you make things happen. If you don't make them happen, no one's going to make them happen. And that's who we are.